They said I was unstable. They said I imagined everything. They said I wasn't safe to be around my own child, so they locked me away. But what they didn't know was that I was listening, and when the truth finally resurfaced, every lie they told buried them instead. Before we begin, subscribe, because stories like this don't end quietly. This is Resurrected Truths. My name is Naomi, and this is the story of how they tried to erase me while I was still breathing. The accident happened on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Nothing dramatic, no fire, no headlines, just a slick road, a sharp turn, and my car spinning once, twice, before everything went still. I remember the sound of rain hitting metal, the smell of airbag dust, and then nothing. When I woke up, the world felt delayed, like everything was arriving half a second too late. The lights were too bright, the room felt too quiet, and my husband, Evan, was sitting beside my bed. He smiled when my eyes opened, but something about it felt rehearsed. At first, they told me I was lucky. No broken bones, no visible brain damage, just shock, just trauma. Doctors kept repeating the same questions, slowly, carefully. What day is it? Do you know where you are? Do you remember what happened? Before I could answer, Evan often did it for me. She's been confused lately, he said gently. She forgets little things. She gets overwhelmed easily. I tried to speak. Evan squeezed my hand slightly harder than necessary. Don't push yourself, he said. You need rest. I nodded, not because I agreed, but because something felt wrong and I didn't yet know why. By the second day, the tone changed. Doctors stopped smiling. Their voices became more careful. They spoke to Evan in the hallway instead of to me. A psychiatrist was brought in, then another. They asked questions that didn't feel neutral. Do you feel like people are watching you? Do you think anyone close to you might want to hurt you? I told them no, but Evan shook his head softly. She's always been afraid of that, he said. She just doesn't remember. That's when I realized something terrifying. They weren't trying to understand me. They were building a story. 2 days later, my sister Lena arrived. She hugged me tightly, too tightly, like she needed to convince herself of something. She smelled of my perfume, the same one I kept in my bathroom at home. That detail stayed with me. They told me I was being transferred, just temporarily. To help you recover properly, they said. To protect the baby. Yes, I was pregnant. They reminded me of that constantly. Every decision was framed as concern for the baby, for safety, for my well-being. I didn't argue. I was moved to a private mental health facility on the edge of the city. The doors locked automatically. The windows didn't open. Everything was calm in a way that felt staged. At first, I fought it. I asked questions. I corrected mistakes. I tried to assert myself. That only made things worse. She's defensive, a nurse noted. She becomes agitated when questioned. So I stopped. I watched. I learned quickly what they wanted. Agreement, compliance, silence. So I gave it to them. I nodded when they spoke. I agreed when they corrected me. I pretended to forget things I remembered perfectly, because listening is easier when people think you're weak. Evan visited twice a week. Lena came more often. They always stood together just outside my room, talking freely, not whispering, because they believed I was broken. The house is already listed, Evan said one afternoon. She won't notice. Lena laughed quietly. And the accounts? All transferred, Evan replied. She signed everything, or close enough. My stomach tightened. but I kept my face blank. I stared at the wall like I wasn't listening. They talked about my life like it was already theirs, about redecorating, about moving, about how stressful motherhood would have been for me anyway. She wouldn't cope, Lena said. She's too fragile. That word followed me everywhere. Fragile. They told the doctors I couldn't handle being a mother, that pregnancy stress made me unstable. They suggested adoption, temporary guardianship. Lena volunteered immediately. She trusts me, she said warmly. I'll take care of everything. At night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, counting breaths, replaying every conversation in my head. Dates, names, exact words. They took my phone, my journal, anything that could record the truth, but they couldn't take my memory, so I stored it there. Weeks passed, my body healed, my mind sharpened, and slowly I began to see patterns, paperwork arriving that I hadn't signed, decisions being made without my consent, medical notes that didn't match what I'd said. Someone wanted me legally untrustworthy. One nurse noticed. She didn't say anything at first, just watched me a little longer than the others. One afternoon, she left a pen on my tray, by accident. I waited until the door closed. Then I wrote one sentence on a scrap of paper. Please listen. It took time, but eventually the right doctor came. He didn't rush questions, didn't interrupt answers. When Evan tried to speak for me, the doctor stopped him. I'd like to hear from Naomi. I told him everything, slowly, clearly, no emotion, no panic. I watched his expression change. They reviewed records, found signatures that didn't match my handwriting, transfers approved during periods when I was sedated, and then the cameras. Because months before the accident, I'd installed them. I trusted my instincts back then. They saved me now. The day Evan came to tell me I'd be released into Lena's care, I was already packed. Police walked in behind him. Evan didn't shout, didn't cry. He just looked small. Lena screamed, said I manipulated everyone, said I was sick. The doctor corrected her. No, he said. She was silenced. They lost everything. The house, the money, the control. Evan was charged with coercion and financial abuse, Lena with fraud and exploitation. I gave birth 3 months later, quietly, safely. Holding my child, I understood something. They didn't lose because I fought loudly. They lost because I waited. Because truth doesn't disappear, it waits, and when it resurfaces, it crowns the one who survived. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Resurrected Truths, because some people are buried in lies, and some truths always come back.